Get this figure and more at the Big Bad Toy Store, links in the description. Hey, my name is Jobby, and today we're taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Blackout. And of course, the character of Blackout comes from the movie by Michael Bay. And if you've been keeping up with the channel this whole time, you know how much I just love those movies. And yet I continue to financially support it. Hey, the toys have been pretty good. All I'll say about Michael Bay in this video is that the first Transformers movie from 2007 is the only memorable one. And notice how I didn't say good. It's memorable. I remember such scenes as and the left cheek, left cheek, left cheek, left cheek. Masterpiece. Anyway, Takara Tomy rolled out with a new series of Transformers figures based on the movies, and the studio series aims to make more screen-accurate versions of the characters that we've seen previously in other toy lines, and this specific figure here caught my attention because it looked seemingly screen-accurate. Not that I care about the Michael Bay movies or anything, but now another figure from the studio's line also caught my attention, but before we get into that one, the painting and the sculpting on this figure is awesome. The intricate mechanical detail, the bland as hell color scheme, make him an almost spitting image of the movie character. There's almost no surface on this guy that's not covered in the classic Michael Bay bullshit. It's a complete mess of a design, but in a good way. The figure even has some decals to bring it even closer to the movie design. Decals? Decals, I still haven't found a way to comfortably pronounce that word. This deco's pretty cool. And you get some at the... Remember how I said the figure was almost a spitting image of the movie design? Character. Well, it is pretty close, save for these obvious compromises for the transformation. I mean, all this crap on his back is forgivable because it's screen accurate, but then there are just some areas of the figure that don't look like a jumbled mess of parts. I mean, the back of the figure is just one solid piece. Now, here's the thing. Most of these areas don't bother me at all. It's understandable why they had to design this figure this way, because these poor toy designers, they were tasked to pretty much do the impossible. But it's these parts at the feet that are kind of annoying. Usually, the feet are not completely flat, so it tends to be a little wobbly. And it's a common thing that when the figure is on camera, it behaves perfectly fine and doesn't present the problems that I have with it. Well, rest assured, when it was off camera, I had a little bit of problems standing the figure up because of the feet not being completely flat. Maybe if I fuck it, I'll let it pass. But what I can't let pass? The shoulders refuse to plug in. And before some of you guys from the TFW forums come out and say, oh, but it's an intentional butterfly joint. No, it's not. The designers clearly intended you to tab this part in, but for some strange reason, they don't wanna. You wanna see what an intentional butterfly joint looks like? Leader Class Starscream from Revenge of the Fallen? There it is. You see, the butterfly joint here does not make the figure look incomplete in any way, and it can actually hold that pose. Unlike Blackout here, it's just a loose flap. If this was meant to be an intentional joint, it's useless. So with all due respect to the TFW forums, get fucked. I'm just kidding, man. I love you guys. I've been lurking on the forums for like 4 years. I'm sure this issue could be fixed in some way, maybe with some sandpaper or super glue. Whatever the case, if I don't have time to build Gundam anymore, then I don't have time for this. Other than that issue, everything else fits together nice and solid. And something I wanted to talk about. This is one of the few Leader Class Transformers figures that I've gotten in my lifetime that doesn't have sort of lights and sound gimmick. And I'm completely fine with that. I don't know if this is a recent development or what, but in my opinion, the main gimmick of a Leader Class figure should just be the fact that it's big and it transforms. Good enough already. I don't need no lights and sounds. I don't need a switch that tells it to put it in my ass. And that's not to say I hate lights and sounds and Transformers or anything, but I do take issue with lights and sounds if it messes with the structure and the integrity of the actual figure. Really, the closest thing to a gimmick that this figure has is that he comes with Scorponok. And this little guy actually has really great painting and sculpting. Pretty accurate to the film, I'm getting flashbacks. And he's even got a hinge joint here, hinge joint here, hinge joint here, and a hinge joint here. And if you fold him up, he can plug into Blackout's back. And that pretty much ends it for Scorponok. As for other accessories, technically this thing on his arm came packaged separately, but it's not so much a weapon as it is just the piece of parts forming, and it spins. That's a good trick. I wouldn't take so much issue with this part if it transformed a bit more, but this is it. This is not a convincing weapon. Come on. And while we're at the arm here, the hands are stupid. No sort of wrist swivel to turn the hand around, so he's perpetually doing the limp wrist pose. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Come on. Current year. But you do get a hinge joint at the thumb, and you can have some fun with that. Lack of wrist swivel aside, at least you get a ball joint at the head. Every ball joint can be a swivel. All of this shit on the back is on hinge joints that don't plug into anything, but not that much of a problem because these joints are pretty tight. You can call this some forward movement if you're dumb. Arm can move up that far, and move back that far. Arm can move out, bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, we already talked about that. No waist swivel at all, but you do get boing. Front skirt can move up, which allows some rotation, and it can move back that far. Bend at the knee here, and another bend at the knee here. He's got those chicken legs. Up and down at the ankle, and a pretty good pivot. Posability on this guy is not that great. I do appreciate the ankle pivot, but you're not gonna be able to do that. But you can stretch out his chicken legs to make him look a bit taller. But that looks stupid, so we're not gonna do that for the size comparisons. Here's Godzilla Prime, Scorponok, and the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Starscream. These figures actually look pretty good together, but the scale is completely fucked. Which is what the Studio Series Starscream is for. Is it worth getting? Leave a comment down below. So the robot mode on this guy is pretty cool, but definitely not perfect. But if I'm being honest here, I don't see how they could have done it any other way, especially considering this guy transforms. As you bring the head back up, you simply push down on this bottom part here and And the helicopter mode is awesome. The transformation is a little messy and complicated, but it's never frustrating. I mean, you just gotta follow these stupidly long instructions and you should be fine. God damn, this mode is huge. These rotors are so long that I have to fold them up to get some good detail shots. And this helicopter is very accurate to the film, right down to almost the entire surface being covered in panels and rivets. And there's some new decals revealed here that add a sense of realism to this mode. And these decals are scratched up. I wonder if it's because they're the bottom of the feet in robot mode.
That was smart.
I blame the movie masterpiece Optimus Prime for this shit. I never got that figure, but I do know that robot mode actually has the front of the truck at the bottom of his feet. Important vehicle parts shouldn't be at the bottom of your goddamn foot. Besides this less than smart design feature, there is actually something that is legitimately smart. Just ignore all the kibble. If we bring Scorponok back, you can put it in his ass. That's awesome, but I wish there was some sort of launching gimmick. You know, coming from the guy who complained about lights and sounds earlier. Even so, you could fake a launching gimmick by just giving it a good old tap. There we go. And while we're here at the bottom, these landing gear wheels don't roll. They're just solid plastic pieces. Of course, this tail rotor spins, and the main rotor doesn't really spin freely, but that makes sense because if it was completely loose like the tail rotor, it would be a pain in robot mode. You know, the tightness of this rotor makes it less of a spin and more of a... And you notice how I had to bring it to this cam to get it to spin on camera because this thing is big, man, and long. Godzilla Prime, Scorponok, and Starscream. Now, as I mentioned in my Leader Class Starscream review, which you can check out, links in the description, this jet mode was pretty damn good, but Blackout manages to top it, which is why I can safely say that overall, this figure is awesome. The limited posability and some quality control issues prevents this figure from getting the double kiss. But I can still highly recommend this figure to nostalgic movie fans. Not that I'm a nostalgic movie fan or anything like that. The level of engineering on this guy is almost what I'd expect from a movie masterpiece figure. Of course, it's a little less thought out than a masterpiece figure, and it's actually affordable. Big Bad Toy Store! Sure, it is a bit on the pricey side, but this is pretty standard for a Leader Class figure. And if you're someone looking to relive the memory of Michael Bay's original Transformers movie, this figure is definitely worth it. And I hope you found this video worth your time. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you wanted to know my initial reactions to this figure, go ahead and check out my unboxing video. That reminds me, I forgot to mention that the box of this figure is actually a little backdrop. And as you can see, it depicts the scene from the original Transformers film where Blackout makes his debut. But honestly, I think I might have preferred another Blackout scene. 10 out of 10.
Me Grimlock look like a dinosaur.